Yeah, I agree. I think it was a great win for us for several reasons. We were able to take advantage of our bye week, get some rest, and still get a win on the back end of that. So that was really important for us. Winning at Old Dominion, a team that's been really great at home, and we haven't won the last couple of years. And then many people know last year we lost all 3 matchups to them. So I was just proud of the way our kids competed. I thought we came out and we played really hard for 40 minutes. I thought we executed the game plan better than we did all season last year when we had played them. And we got the ball inside in the paint. And defensively we did enough to win. So important game for us for a lot of reasons. Keeps us obviously in the hunt in Conference USA, but just give us that confidence of a team that beat us last year that we could overcome that and be able to win. It's absolutely key. For us to win games, we have to be able to rebound. And going into that game, Old Dominion was the best rebounding team stat-wise in Conference USA, and we still were out-rebounded but only by 5. And that, in most people's eyes, is probably not a good thing, but for us, in terms of where we had been, it showed improvement. And I think at this point, I don't want my players to get overwhelmed with the fact that we have to be better rebounding. We all know that, and so I've been trying to just condense it for them and say, look, we just have to be a little bit better, and everybody has to take a little more personal accountability. And maybe we're not the best rebounding team in the league, but we have to be better if we want to get where we want to go in March. So I think they've really taken that to heart and tried to get better. Yeah, I mean, North Texas, I think, is a very dangerous team. We played them at their place, came out really flat the first quarter, had a great second quarter, and did enough in the second half to put them away. They were without one of their better players. She's averaging about 13 a game, and she didn't play in that matchup, so certainly going to be a difference for sure. I think defensively, they're one of the best defensive teams in Conference USA. They gave us some issues in terms of being able to reverse the ball against them, the ball pressure that they had on us. But that was, I think, one of the first games where Jamison Myers played really well for us and started to get some confidence. So, we have to continue to do what we do, which is to get the ball inside. We have to be able to reverse the ball against them. And then defensively, they're great at penetration. And we did not do a good job against that last time. We ended up playing a lot of zone against them, which could be the case in this matchup, but really hope to contain the ball better. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important. We've been lucky this year that we have a pretty veteran group, and so when we go on the road, we don't get rattled. We play well on the road. But I think, when you just look at the course of the season and knowing that in January we were on the road so much, and I think that sets us up well, obviously, for the second part of the season. Just because we play very well at home. Obviously, it doesn't mean any of that's guaranteed. We have to continue to still go out and earn it, but certainly pleased with how we've been on the road for sure so far. Yeah, I think that's our biggest strength. When you look at us statistically, it's really hard to take one player away and slow us down because you have so many different players that are capable of stepping up. Our guards have been doing it all year, and now you have Nye in the paint, who's become almost a double-double player for us as well. So I think that's definitely to our advantage. We talk about that in staff meetings a lot with the way that Nye's playing, to expect some double teams on her, but then you look at our guards and you say, well, who are you going to come off of? So I think that certainly helps us in terms of scouting. We still have to continue to have our bench grow a little bit more. I'm playing my starters a lot of minutes right now. I think in the second part of the season, I'd love to be able to see some of our reserves get a few more minutes, and I know that they're working towards that, so hopefully we can get to that point. Yeah, I mean, Lefty's funny. She kind of plays it low-key. That wasn't that big of a deal, but I know going back and playing in front of her family and her friends is a big deal to her, and I know that she was disappointed that we haven't won the last couple of years there. So you could see it in her. I mean, Lefty is such an amazing kid in that she easily can get overlooked because of all the other players around her, but when we really need something in crunch time, Lefty is always a player that we can go to. And I thought you could kind of see that in her eyes, especially in the fourth quarter down at that game, that she wasn't going to let us lose it. And she certainly led us that way. Well, I think a little bit in terms of our personnel being different. I think at this point in time last year, we had some injuries that really hurt us. Sierra Gregory had been hurt, and her production was cut in half after she got hurt. And we've been fortunate to be healthy so far in the season. And obviously that's something we're going to continue to focus on in terms of giving our players rest when we can and doing everything we can from the recovery standpoint. But I also think, and I've said this about this team all along, is our senior leadership is really good with Lefty and Sierra. I think those guys really hold this team accountable. They huddle them up when we're not doing well. And we've been, because of that, I think we're very, very resilient. And again, I've said this as well, like, we don't have multiple days in a row where we're not good. That goes even to practice. I mean, going back to October, I can't think of 2 days in a row that we had bad practices. Yeah, we're always, you're not going to be perfect. They're young people, and sometimes we have a bad practice, but they always bounce back. If we have a bad game, we've always bounced back. And I think that's different from a lot of other teams I've had here. Certainly different than we had last year, in that they don't get down. They take coaching really well, and because of that, we're able to get better when we do have those down games. Well, I think that's a good question. Other than really pointing that out to them, and that in Conference USA games you can't really afford to start slow. I think that's been more on the players. I mean, the cool thing about both of those games in Rice and North Texas is after those first quarters of both of those games, the team huddled themselves on the court before I could even get to them. I was obviously disappointed in their performance at that point, but right then and there, they took care of it. And again, that goes back to what I just said about this team. Like, they're very resilient. They challenge each other. They hold each other accountable. And so I think, just over the course of that experience, they understand that if we want to win games in Conference USA, we can't afford to start slow. We certainly can't afford to have really bad quarters, which both of those we did. So I think really, like I said, the credit goes to our players and what they're trying to accomplish.